My question is, what took you so long?
He twice was caught breaking COVID-19 protocols.
Is that you have to be really good in order to be somebody's headache. And Dwayne Haskins just isn't good enough to be any franchise's headache.
That is the truth. If you're going to be someone's headache, you better go out on the field and show that you can ball. And he has not had that same luxury. You're listening to Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, and we are presented by Progressive Insurance. Shay Cornett and Jordan Cornett filling in this morning. And right now we're going to go to Washington because ESPN NFL reporter Kimberly Martin joins the show. And Kimberly, good morning to you. Thank you for getting up early with us. I am sure it has been one of those whirlwind weeks for you. Not only is it between the holidays and we're all unsure what day of the week it is, but it has been something to talk about with the Washington football team, to say the least. So I know you covered that game this weekend, the Washington football team against Carolina. Did you have a sense that the organization was ultimately going to make this move in releasing Haskins at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, no. At the end of the season, sure. Before that game, I spoke to Dwayne Haskins on the phone on Saturday, and I spoke to Ron Rivera before the game, Sunday morning. And, at this point, Dwayne was saying all the right things as far as, it would mean everything to me. He told me it would mean everything to me to go out to start to help this team win and hopefully clinch a playoff spot. Ron Rivera said, I have no trepidation starting Dwayne if it comes to that. But we all know Rivera would have rather started Alex Smith. Mm-hmm. We did not expect the release this quickly, but I think Dwayne Haskins put on a clinic on how to ruin, a young football career very early. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate to see.
Yeah, very unfortunate to see, Kimberly. How much does this decision to release Haskins in only year two reveal just how much power, I guess, so to speak, Coach Rivera truly has within the organization?
Oh, Rivera, from the time he got here, it was Rivera's show. And I think when he came and he talked to owner Dan Snyder, he said, if you want me to rebuild the culture, I'm going to have to do that. And so from day one, he pretty much had, veto power. It was his decision to keep Haskins. But what I will say is always watch what coaches do and not what they say. Felt like Rivera always said, for the most part, positive things about Dwayne. He, even this week when we had his second COVID violation, he got frustrated with the media and said, "Stop asking me questions about this. We have a very important game." But behind the scenes, frustration during, Rivera's tenure here, frustration with Haskins as far as saying the right thing, saying he wants to be the starter and the guy, but not putting in the work, not being self-aware. Obviously, the latest second COVID violation is proof that he is a 23-year-old young man who does not understand what's at stake, and not just from a health standpoint, with his head coach being immunocompromised, but also the timing of it all. The team is trying to make a playoff push, win the division, and after a loss, you are out maskless and not really thinking about the bigger picture. But Rivera has had a lot of say, and I think going into this game, he thought Dwayne would give them a better chance to win than Taylor Heineke. We saw in the fourth quarter that was not the case, and that's why Dwayne doesn't have a job at this moment.
Yes, no doubt about it. We're talking to Kimberly Martin, ESPN NFL reporter. She covered the game, the Washington football team against the Carolina Panthers over the weekend. She follows this team really closely. And so it looks like it's either going to be Alex Smith or Taylor Heineke this weekend. So we know what we know about Alex Smith. Before we get into his status for the game on Sunday, what can you tell us about Taylor Heineke? Like, what is he as a quarterback? What is he as a person? What can you tell us?
I mean, he's young and he's inexperienced, but he's somebody who clearly in that moment of a game where you're thinking, you go into that game and you're like, well, they can't replace Taylor. They can't replace Dwayne Haskins and Taylor Heineke. Like, who is this guy? He's got like an engineering degree from Old Dominion. Like, why would? But he came into that game, threw a touchdown. Like he came in, and Rivera called it gutsy. His play, he called it gutsy because he came off the bench, was not expected to play in a game that felt like it felt like Carolina was up 40-0 at points. And he came into that game, and for a second, even though you knew they weren't going to win, in the fourth quarter, you felt like, whoa, they're mounting a comeback. Okay, they've got some life. And that's somebody that you could at least try to win with. But yeah, just inexperience. And obviously, he was in the XFL, doesn't have a ton of NFL experience, but he's got that attitude like, hey, I've got nothing to lose. And with this Washington team, I think you could at least try to win with that.
Okay, so what is the status for Alex Smith then for Sunday, as of now?
They're hoping that he's ready to go. They were optimistic last week that his calf wouldn't be sore, but he woke up Saturday and just did not feel right. Rivera said Alex was close last week, and he's optimistic heading into this week. He's got several more days to rest the calf or to test it out. But they're hanging their hopes on Alex Smith being able to go. So we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we will see. Kimberly, before we let you go, I'm just curious because I am probably in the minority, but I do hope that Dwayne Haskins finds a way on another NFL roster and does do things the right way, and this can all be put in the rear view, and he learns from the not one, but several mistakes he has made. That being said, Kimberly, I'm curious because you were, again, like Shay said, you cover this team closely. You were there for this game. What was the vibe you got in terms of teammates in Washington that were in his corner? How did they overall feel about him on that team?
His former teammate, Ohio State teammate and current Washington teammate Chase Young, after games in which Haskins played, and even on Sunday, he had told Haskins said Chase Young told him, keep your head up, like I got your back. Clearly, he has supporters in the locker room. Haskins told me that on Saturday, he told me that he apologized to the team and guys were receptive. Now, this year with COVID, reporters aren't allowed in the locker room, right? I think we would have a better sense of how teammates really feel than what is just being said on these Zoom calls. But clearly, there was early frustration in the season about Haskins kind of focusing more so on his personal status on the team and his stats, and not necessarily the overall situation with the team and whether they win or lose. And that rankled people within the organization early on. So, like you said, I hope this is a learning experience for him. He's a young kid. He's 23. He has opportunities to change the narrative and change his career, but he has to put in the work.
No doubt about it. All right, Kimberly Martin, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate the insight. Happy New Year to you. Thanks for waking up early. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks to you guys. Thanks for having me.
See you later. Okay, so yesterday is when we found out this news about Dwayne Haskins, right, being released. And you and I were sitting in the kitchen. I had just come down because I was working the morning show on a different network. And I came downstairs and I'm like, whoa, are you seeing this? And, both of us kind of had the same reaction, not completely shocked, kind of maybe saw it coming, but the timing of it was odd, which Kimberly just pointed out, obviously. Because now you're in a situation where you have to move forward with either Taylor Heineke, who was taking an exam, from what I know, was taking an exam at Old Dominion when he was called onto the practice squad for the Washington football team, which is remarkable to me. Or you go with Alex Smith, who just isn't 100%. Okay. And to me, Ron Rivera wants to get this distraction out of the locker room because, let's be honest, that's what Dwayne Haskins has been. He's been a distraction. He has not put the team first. He has not put being a quarterback first. He has not put his job first. And he's a distraction at this point in the season. I know you feel like we shouldn't pile on Dwayne Haskins at this time. However, I feel like it is warranted the way that he has conducted himself this year. When you are going to be the face of a franchise, you're going to be a quarterback. I don't care if you're the backup, the third string, whatever it is. Kids, you want to be a quarterback in the NFL, you got to grow up in a hurry. There's no options here. And that's just the reality of the situation. And it's unfortunate for Dwayne Haskins. I don't know that he'll ever get another shot, but this is the way the cookie crumbles. Yeah,
and it'd be kind of wild if he didn't get another shot. And as for Coach Rivera, the position he was put in, it's the first-year coach trying to build a culture there, trying to build a winning culture. And, oh, by the way, you're on the precipice of maybe getting to the postseason in that first year. All the sacrifice the team around you is making, all the sacrifice the coach himself is making. His life was truly on the line, fighting chemo, fighting cancer, but he was still doing everything he could and following protocol to be there on the sidelines to coach up this team. You talk about the ultimate sacrifice. You were getting that from Coach Rivera. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's a former linebacker. He is as tough as nails.
Right.
There is no other way but to straight and narrow and doing it, putting the team first. So for him not to deal with the quarterback,